The day we had nothing was the day I knew our king had turned wicked. My name is Nia. I was just a girl when it happened, maybe 12 seasons old. I remember sitting beside my mother, watching the cooking pot. There was no smoke, no smell, just an empty pot and a fire that gave us heat but no hope. We had no food, and the river nearby had dried to mud. The land was tired. The people were tired too. But the palace still had light and laughter. Our king, Obatelo, lived on the hill. His roof was gold. His floors were marble. They said he had many wives and even more cows. Every market day, his guards came down to our village. They did not come to help us. They came to take. They took yam, cassava, millet, palm oil, everything. We were told it was for the king's house. We were not allowed to say no. One time, a man named Kofi hid his last bag of rice. When the king's men found it, they beat him until he couldn't stand. Then they took his rice and left him on the ground like an old sack. Still, we prayed. We prayed that the king would remember us. My mother said he was not always like this. When his father ruled, she said, the king walked through our farms, helped us build the well. But now, he hides behind walls. Things got worse. Children stopped going to school because they were too hungry. Old people sat in silence, eyes full of pain. At night, we heard cries. Not from wild animals, but from people crying for help, for food, for peace. One day, I followed my uncle to the palace gates. We carried a basket with dry beans and a letter. The letter asked the king to help us dig a new well. We waited outside for hours. Then a guard came. He looked at our dirty feet, our torn clothes, and said, "The king does not see people like you." That night, the sky cracked with thunder. The winds came strong, as if the earth itself was angry. Days later, there was a sickness. It started in the palace and spread fast. Even the king's own son became ill. The palace was no longer bright. The laughter stopped. They sent for herbs and help from the same villages they had ignored. But the people had nothing left to give. The king, sick and weak, called for the elders. He begged for their forgiveness. He offered gold and cows and land. But the elders said, "You only remember us when you are afraid." The king died days later. No drums played. No songs were sung. No one wept. Now, many years have passed. We have a new leader, one who listens, who eats with us, walks with us, and calls us family. But I still remember that day we had nothing. I tell this story to my children so they know, a king who forgets his people will be forgotten too.